Thanks for coming to this episode of Empowered Entrepreneur. My guest today is Lisa Reed. Hi, Lisa.
Hello. So excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. So, Lisa is a speaker who has booked and delivered over 600 talks. Lisa trains entrepreneurs how to get booked and stay booked. She teaches you how to get your message heard so you can attract your ideal clients. In this episode, she will share the number one secret she uses to get speaking gigs. I'm so excited to learn.
Yes, it's probably the biggest problem speakers have is how do they get more bookings? That's the biggest question I get.
So leading up to that, how or why should an entrepreneur think about becoming a speaker?
Well, let's go with the why because there's lots of hows. Well, there's lots of whys too, but I think the why is really there's a lot of times people don't realize that they're sitting on a pile of treasure. And like if you have expertise, for example, that is something someone else might benefit from. Someone else might pay for that expertise. Someone else might not know you exist. So instead of going one to one, you go one to many and actually come on the stage, whether it's virtual or otherwise, as an authority, as an expert with instant credibility. And you get to share your stuff, your cool stuff with people. And it makes it a really nice, easy entry point for people to work with you. So even if someone's a little nervous about public speaking, when they start to realize all the numbers and put it all together, they're like, wait a second, I'm probably missing out on a huge opportunity here. So I think that's a big why. For me, also, I mean, my mission, Vanessa, is really to raise the consciousness of our planet, like in a positive way. And so, how I believe that happens is that we all have gifts that we can give. When we're able to give our gifts to other people who also could benefit from those gifts, then we all benefit. And so it's that ripple effect. So my position in that game, if you will, is well, I'm really good at helping you come up with your message that's going to make a difference for other people who need your stuff. And then you're going to help those people. So it's like, it's the whole game that we're playing. It's beautiful.
So it's like kind of like multi-level marketing, but with positivity.
Positivity market. I like that. Yeah. Positivity, multi-level marketing in the sense of like, yeah, go give your good stuff to people so that they can have better lives, so that they can help the people in their life have better lives and so on and so forth. But you don't have to sign up three people and then have them find three people. There's no pressure.
So much fun. And I I personally struggle with public speaking, but when you talk about what brings you passion, what is your why, I find it so much easier to talk.
Yes.
So how do you suggest someone start finding that?
Yeah, I think it's an inner knowing for a lot of people, not for everyone, but for a lot of people as we go through our professional lives and careers. And when we end up being really passionate about something, we just are dying to tell everybody about because we know it's going to be helpful. That's when the fear of public speaking that probably started when we were young for various reasons. It's a rich environment to be humiliated as a child, like there's a lot of reasons why people have fears of public speaking. But now we're adults and it's like, oh, wait, maybe that fear isn't justified anymore. Maybe I can have a conversation with myself to see, like, is that serving me right now? Is that true? Like, what's going on? And when we get clear about what we actually know, well, then you're not necessarily putting yourself in a situation to be humiliated. You're like, well, actually, I know a lot about this topic. I, do this all the time. I could do this with my hands tied behind my back. Then all of a sudden, it's way easier to break it down and explain it to someone if you're more of in a teaching type of a situation, or maybe it's a story that you want to share or an exercise you want to put, the audience through, something like that. And that's where we start to customize it for people. Like I call it get your talk ready to rock. And I have a structure that I go through, and every single one is different because every speaker is different. What excites you is different. Your personality is different. Your topic, your expertise, your sales funnel, all that stuff is different. So we need to like cater it to each person so that you feel really confident and excited being on stage.
So that's my next question. How do we get on
Reading your mind.
stage?
I'm reading your mind. How do you get on stage? Well, my first answer is broad, but I think it covers the whole gamut. And that is you got to be ready to say yes. And I will say as a metaphor, here's a metaphor. say you're single and you want to be in a relationship, but you have a twin bed, no room in the closet, and you know what I mean? Like there's just no room. You're so busy. There's no room in your life to date. How are you going to actually get into a relationship, right? You're going to make it hard. You're going to make it hard. Same with speaking. It's like, if you want to be a speaker, it's like, okay, well, then what's in your hands to control that can make it easy for you to actually get out there? And that's a lot of times sometimes it's stuff, oh, I don't know what I don't know. And that's where I definitely come in and be like, here's all the things that you could know to make it easy for yourself. But other times there's hidden resistance. Like it might be, I'm afraid to get a photo shoot. I'm afraid to actually step on the stage. I don't know what I'm going to say. I have too many ideas. What if no one buys anything? It's what I call speaker's kryptonite, which is like the thing that keeps us safe and comfy in our, little bubble. And so what we want to do is really address all those things. Like, let's get you the tools so you know what to do, what to say, how to get on there, all that stuff. So it's comfortable. And then also if there's anything that's now you know what to do, like if there's still some resistance there, let's talk about that. So get ready to be ready is my short answer.
Get ready to be ready. Yes. And having tools, I love picking up different tools and new tools for my toolbox.
Yeah.
It's stuff that I've developed as an executive assistant of always having tools at the ready.
Yeah.
For every situation.
Yeah. You make things easier once you realize, oh, this is very doable. I think with speaking too, it's one of those things that, you don't need a fancy funnel. You don't need a high tech stuff. As long as you have a, computer, there's tons of virtual opportunities now. As long as you have a computer, minimum, I say get a good webcam and a mic, but those are one and done. You don't have to keep buying it over and over again. You get yourself set up. It's a really easy format for anyone to step into versus like having, a fancy schmancy software and degrees and years and thousands of dollars. Like, no, you can actually, you can step in. It's a nice, the water's warm. Come on in.
And it's a big ocean too.
It is. And here's the good news. There are more speaking engagements than you could ever do. A lot of times people think, well, where would I go? What would I do? I'm like, there's so many. What we do want to do though is edit out, like you want to have a focus plan, because the goal isn't just, oh, let's be more busy as entrepreneurs and leaders. No, it's not being more busy. It's where can you put your time that's going to be effective and move the needle for your business? That's a very fascinating topic, right? So that's what I'll do. I'll work with clients where it's like, we don't need hundreds of speaking engagements. We just need, like, depending on what you're offering and what your price point is, we may need one a month or two a month, which I usually give like about 50 a year. So to me, like one a month, two a month, that's like really shooting fish in a barrel. Honestly, don't anyone shoot any fish, but I'm just saying, like, it's a very doable once you start to realize this is my talk, here's my audience, here's my call to action. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy after that.
Yeah, once you have those foundational pieces in place, you can tweak as you go along and quickly improve.
Yeah. And in my speakers training academy, people work with me for like 6 months. I'm like, give me 6 months. Like, let's just get this thing taken care of so that you have your talk done, know where you're supposed to talk, know what to say to get them to book you. Get your speaker sheet ready, like get yourself all lined up. So you're like, this part of my business is good. And you can use that then for the rest of your career. And people don't realize that. It's like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Once you have that skill, you're like, oh, I can just keep doing this over and over again. So I think that's a nice part of it too.
And last time we spoke, weren't you practicing for a TED Talk?
I was not. Oh, thank God. That sounds so scary. No, I know a lot of people want to do TED Talks. That's not on my bucket list, but I have clients who've done them, and that's a whole different Oprah. But I was practicing I might have been writing a new talk. I just came out with a new one called The Truth About How to Get Speaking Gigs now. And so maybe I was doing that. Who knows? I'm always doing something, Vanessa.
And so what do you mean, like writing a talk? Like, is it like a script that you have to memorize?
No, actually, I highly recommend not doing that. But here's the thing. A lot of times people will say, how do I learn my talk? Or how do I practice? Or how do I What's the right way? How many times should I say it? And it's kind of like, I don't know how old you are, Vanessa. I know you're a lot younger than I am, but there was this commercial about Tootsie Pops, and the little kid would ask the owl, like, how many licks does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop? And he would say 3, because, you know, he bit into it and got to 3, but there's really no answer. And that's the same with practicing. Like I say, you want to practice it enough to where you feel like you can do it in a box with a fox, in a goat, you know, boat with a goat, that kind of thing. Because, but what you're doing is you're letting it seep into your DNA. You're letting it become what I call, you want to be in that unconscious competence space, so that you're not thinking about what you're saying, but you're actually just naturally saying it because it's embedded in you. When we try to memorize it, that's when we get a little stuck, because it's like, oh, I lost my place. And then it's a different way of doing it. So what I recommend is you're going to still have a cadence to it. You're going to still have a point 1, 2, and 3 at the simplest model. 3 points, and you want to know your points and what you want to say about those points, and you want to have that call to action or invitation at the end, and you want to get used to your timing. So in that sense, some of it's, I won't say memorized, but like, you know it, right? But how you explain it and how you integrate with the audience and engage with people, that's going to be different, because you don't want to come off as like a robot. You still want to come off as a connected human being and develop rapport with the audience in different ways.
Gotcha. So that leads us to the question of what is the what is the number one secret of getting booked and staying booked as a speaker?
Yeah, well, so I came up about this honestly. It's something I call the speaker soulmate system. When I started speaking professionally, it was 10 years ago. My first year, I booked 83 speaking engagements in person. They were all in person in my local area. And it was a lot of cold calling and scrambling and hustling and struggling, you know, that scraping, that kind of experience, of which I did not find very enjoyable. But I liked the speaking part. I love that. I love interacting with clients, and it was very effective and all that stuff. So I, meanwhile, had started a group called, it was a speaker network. And I thought, let's all get together and hang out and learn from each other and refer each other when appropriate, right? Nothing forced, but just naturally seems like we would be able to collaborate together, similar to what you're doing with your partners. And along the way, I met a woman who was speaking at a similar frequency as me. She was eager to speak as well. We had a similar core values. We're very reliable. We do what we say we're going to do, you know, provide quality work. You know, we developed trust, and we liked each other. And then we also speak to similar audiences, but we're not in competition. So those are the 3 components. I'm kind of like telling a story. Like the 3 components of a speaker soulmate, of an ideal speaker soulmate, are it's somebody that speaks a similar frequency as you, number 1. Number 2 is they, you know, like and trust them. This is like your inner circle person. And because you don't need a ton of speaker soulmates, just need like, you know, 3, 5, maybe, you know, we're talking like easy peasy lemon squeeze. And then the third thing is that they speak to a similar audience, but they're not your competition. And that helps to make the referral cycle and the exchange feel really yummy and fair and good. It just makes it easier. So she and I started doing these 10 years ago, or almost 10 years ago. And she's referred hundreds of speaking engagements to me, and I've referred hundreds to her. And guess what? That meant that the other person didn't have to do any cold calling, any filling out blank applications, any like trying to stand out from the crowd of this other competition. We just get right to the front of the line. And so that's what I call the speaker soulmate system. And I have a like this month, or in November, we're doing an event called like Finding Your Speaker Soulmate at the International Speaker Network, which is now the organization I have. And it's so powerful. I think people just forget that business doesn't have to be hard. Like it can be fun. Like be hanging out with people that you like, people that you know, people that you trust. Dig deep instead of far and wide, you know, like go deep and close, and it pays off.
Yes, that reminds me of a different podcast episode where I emphasize the importance of relationship marketing.
Yeah.
Now,
it's the same kind of thing. Yep.
Yeah. Now that we're out of COVID, I feel like there's a lot more opportunities to talk in person, whether you want to schedule the event yourself or coordinate with a local organization that is willing to have you.
Yeah. And there's still tons of virtual events as well. I speak mostly virtual. I went from nearly 100% in person before COVID to, I mean, I would coach and I would do my own webinars on virtual, but now I'm pretty much 99% virtual speaking. I will speak locally if asked, but most of the time I speak virtually, and it's a great opportunity for any business owner.
Oh yeah, because we're such a flat world now.
Yeah, I just talked to someone from Brazil yesterday. I've talked to people from all over the country already this morning. It's so much easier, and you can connect to your ideal customers, your ideal clients a lot easier. If you have a digital based business, it's a piece of cake. So, so we don't have to, it doesn't have to be that hard. I guess I just wish I could emphasize that to everyone. Like, let's make it easier. It can be fun. It's okay. Hang out with people that you like, do soul filling activities. And it's very possible to do that.
Yes, and I absolutely love the idea of Find Your Speaker Soulmate that you have being launched in November. How can someone join that?
If they want to join the International Speaker Network, it's really easy. Just go to ispeakernetwork.com. So I, like the letter I, speakernetwork.com, and all the information to join is on there, and you'll get access to all the calls and the bonuses and everything like that. So very cool, and we'd love to see you there. Yeah, anyone who's interested.
And they don't have to have
a sign. If you're waiting for a sign, this is it.
And they don't have to have previously been a speaker, correct?
No, we have a lot of most of our members have some speaking experience. Some of them are brand new, and some of them are like been doing it for a long, long time. So either way, I say the water's warm. Anyone is welcome as long as they are a heart-centered person who values relationships, is interested in collaboration and connection, and is also somehow speaking is part of your dream, or it's already a part of your reality that you want to do that. That's the commonality versus other networking groups. There's business networking groups where speaking isn't the focus.
Sure. Any final thoughts for the audience?
There are some other tips I can offer for free if it suits people. So if you're like, I want to get speaking gigs now, how do I do that? I can give you 5 top tips to get speaking gigs now. It's what I still would say is possible and what is still a good idea. I still use these tips, and that's at getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips.
Awesome. Those links will be in the show notes as well.
Perfect. Great.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you.